Time to look at different types of joints. Joints are classified in one of the three categories, either fibrous, cartilaginous, or synovial. Fibrous tissue in the fibrous category mean that when the bones are fused together, they can't move at all. Okay, so the best example of that is the cranium, because those bones don't move. Alright, the easy way to remember this is that it's involving cartilage, and these are bones that are connected by cartilage, and they only allow very slight movement. So for example, if you were to look at a picture of vertebrae, the vertebrae sits in the body, and then it's got a small bit of cartilage between each vertebrae. So it still allows for movement, but only in a very, very tight, slight piece of movement. And the last but not least are the most popular and well-known ones, which are your synovial joints. Okay, and these are often in the form of a joint capsule or made up of a series of ligaments, and they allow for a lot more movement. And a great example of a synovial joint is your knee, which is also known as a hinge joint, and we're going to move on to having a look at that now. So these are the joint classifications we just looked at. This is the types of joints that you have in your body, and they're classified as pivot joints, ball and socket, hinge joints, ellipsoid or condyle joints, saddle joints, and gliding or plane joints. And we're going to have a look at all these in detail, so let's have a look. First one is a pivot joint. Pivot joint allows you to rotate your body, or rotate the particular area that the joint is associated with. It allows you to maybe move forward, move back, flex, extend, move away from the body, or add back towards the body. I'm going to explain what these are in a later video, so stay tuned. Essentially, really, a pivot joint allows bones to rotate their position within a joint. So the example that's been given here is, there's my little arrows going all over the place, is in the neck. And as you know, when you move your neck, you can only really turn your head from side to side, or you can nod your head up and down. Okay, and that's basically what a pivot joint allows you to do. And there's an example in the GIF at the top up here that shows you what it looks like. Okay, cool. Ball and socket joints, however, are kind of awesome, really. It's like the top of the joint, top of one bone is in a ball shape, and it sits inside a socket. So these are really easy to spot in the body. The main ones are your hip and your shoulders. Okay, so, and as you can see in the GIF up here, this joint allows for a lot of movement. So if you think about moving your arm around in your shoulder, you can reach up, you can reach in front of you, you can reach behind you. So it gives you lots of movement. Hinge joints only really allow you to move your joint action in maybe one direction. Okay, so up and down, or in and out, or side to side, depending on where the joint is in the body. And a really great example is your knee joint, because we can only really move our knee backwards. If you think about your lower leg backwards, I should say. So that's your hinge joint. That's probably the easiest one to remember out of the lot. The condyloid joint is similar to a ball and socket joint, but not really. So as you can see, one of the sockets is sort of like this. It's a little open, and the other one just sort of sits on top of it nicely. Okay, they sort of fit inside one another. And the difference between this and a ball and socket joint is that this, if you think about your finger, you can't move it in all directions. If you bend your finger, it's only going to let you bend it up and down. Okay, so that is a condyloid joint. A saddle joint is where the bones that connect and join together complement one another. So as you can see here, one is concave and the other one is sort of convex, and they can connect together really nicely. So these guys are very, very similar to the condyloid joint in that they only really allow your joint to move in one or two directions. And the most popular and well-known one is the one that connects your thumb to your wrist. Gliding or plane joints are where bones are sitting together and all they do is really slide against one another. And probably the best example are your little short bones in your hands and your feet. So your tarsals and your carpals, they tend to rub together, as you can see in the GIF up here. And some vertebrae behave like this as well. So that is your types of joints.